There's nothing on them, they're just faded and gone, so they're looking into who actually did those, but they have this info like, the turnover over there, nobody is around anymore that did those.
They don't know who. But do they think that's their jurisdiction? Like they would be responsible for replacing those?
We'll get back to me on that, but I'm just trying to find a person, but I would be more happy than.
But it's part of the city nursing home, correct?
No, that's.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Not that, we don't know about the sign, the
Yeah.
land itself, both of them on, Ramsey County property. The city of North St. Paul owns both ponds.
And Jill, I really do remember that the high school had something to do with that.
So
Oh,
it's
and you
probably just
guys,
a project that they're
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I see room for improvement. They're really far back. Nobody can get to them anyway. So if it was gonna be replaced. I mean, I don't know, nobody can get to it.
I don't want to draw attention to something that's not really a thing. Like, it's not.
But it would be nice to take them out. Like if you're not gonna use it or
Yes.
something, then they sit there and look.
Right.
And make everything look worse.
Yeah.
I will say though, I walked the trail in there. That is beautiful. And there are
Really?
benches all the
I've never
way
actually
through
walked
there.
back there.
Hmm?
On the
Yeah.
urban ecology or the one next to?
No, the urban ecology.
Oh.
And there's trail and there's a bridge.
Oh,
And the
I
only
see.
problem was, and I was gonna ask you about this because the day my dog and I walked up there, if you walk in from where the Gateway Trail.
Towards the bus route.
Yeah, and
hill?
on top of the hill, there's like a big platform thing with seats on it. It's
Seen
quite lovely. But there was a discarded mattress up there. And I was gonna call somebody and I thought, who do you call?
Public work.
You
Would it
can-
be public?
Jill.
Yeah, you call me and then I put it and they go up there. and-
Okay.
and they pick it up.
I'll go, and maybe it's gone. I don't know, but it
We
was,
needed a room. So
well, that's what I'm thinking somebody was doing,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But it's really quite
I didn't
lovely.
realize the trail, the trail goes all the way around that?
You can get in from 6 too. Those pictures that I
Oh,
took.
so we could have a little jewel here we don't even know about.
Oh,
and there's a way to
there's
introduce
signs.
Does it
Yeah.
pop out at
And there's
six?
signs that say Urban Ecology Center, and there's a path.
So this one, I think I was on
Active ones.
South, where's Holiday, South and.
Yeah,
This is where I can't, well, that's where these signs are. Is there more than one sign?
No.
On
uh,
6.
It's just
Oh, there's
on
one on
6.
6, okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm
So
not.
it's-
But it's not a big one like that, is it?
No,
Six.
No,
it's like,
It's a
it's
small
it's a
one.
white
Yeah.
sign with blue.
Yeah.
And it points in there. The only problem is some of those benches are not safe and they're really in bad shape. Some are fine. But there was a guy walking in there when the dog, I was glad I had the dog with me. Because it was kind of isolated.
But like I live right there and didn't know. I mean, I saw that bench, but I actually thought that trail was from the bus garage. Like I
No.
thought it was people from the bus garage that just walked
No.
up there.
No.
So it seems like we have if it's a nice property, we have a great opportunity to, what I would love to see happen is knowing the Gateway brings in so many people. Like, could we do something if we couldn't pave Southwood, but could we pave there and maybe people could take their stroller, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying I've never walked that trail, but could we do something more inviting there, at least?
I wouldn't
Obviously,
pave it because you're taking away from the natural. I wouldn't do anything. I would,
What's on, the path?
There's
What's the
chips,
path
wood
now?
chips in it.
wood chips are, yeah.
So we're putting wood chips
Wonder who
there.
does that?
Yeah, who's putting wood chips?
It's been a
Wait,
long time since.
By,
there's been wood chips.
Southwood's
They're
trouble with
there.
getting wood
Pretty-
chips. I'm
pretty
like,
trampled down.
God,
Yeah.
if she only knew someone just put them there.
So that, you can keep doing that. I thought we were on PC, sorry.
Sorry.
You know,
Oh, yeah, we can start on both of them.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
confused.
We can go back to.
Yeah, okay, so.
Are we talking about Target Pond now?
No.
Or are we
No.
talking about the urban
The one
ecology?
that's
garage.
and the bus garage.
All done together.
It's awkward,
That's-
though.
that's
It's
our property.
awkward because the only place to park to get to here is at the bus garage. And the only reason those signs are there is the Environmental Commission. Absolutely, I am not kidding you. I was on that commission and they pitched a fit
Yeah.
and screamed and hollered and just about threw themselves on the floor and kicked their feet to get those signs, to get parking spots. But I have a hard time believing anybody drives
Nobody
over there,
knows about
parks,
that.
and then walks way around.
Well, you can park on the side of the road by
I
that,
suppose you
by
can.
that side, which
So
is what I
fast,
did.
that's a
We
busy
just, we
road.
just pulled in and we pulled our bikes out. And then
Oh,
we did the urban ecology first and we went on the Gateway.
oh, okay. I thought it was awful tight.
It is. Oh, no, you're like.
Yeah,
you're-
yeah.
pretty,
So you can park, I
you
mean,
can, but it ain't great.
but I mean, you can park over at the bus
Oh,
garage.
yep.
There's 5 spots there.
But nobody knows about it.
That, no, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to park all the way there.
Exactly.
It kind of got lost after the
Okay.
bus.
Well, that's good to know.
Went in a while back.
So we own it.
Kinda got
And
so-
so you couldn't read the kiosks at all, right?
No, there's
They're
blanks.
so faded.
Nothing. No.
Is it city maintained? Is public works mowing or doing anything? Does anybody know?
It's
Side
probably
where-
some neighbor that just does it. and doesn't tell
On the
anybody.
Is
side
it
where
even
I
though-
walk, that don't look
It's
like
pretty
there's
high,
anymore.
yeah.
It was a
So,
path,
no,
not
the
that was
path
really
was-
So
a
it's just,
wall.
no,
But
okay.
this was just a
I
few
don't
weeks
know
ago.
where
Yeah.
Sue was walking. Was there any maintenance to the?
Well, it was a few weeks ago, and so, it wasn't, the grass hadn't grown very high, and there's part of it that has the chips, old chips.
There's a
And
bridge in there though.
there's a bridge. Mhm.
And we have lots of deer. They'll be walking down our street and, yeah. So there's
It's a
some
very,
wildlife.
to me,
doesn't do any
it's,
maintenance.
I was skeptical,
Yeah.
but it is lovely. I think lovely. And to me, the smart thing to do would be to park on 6 and go in
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because, yeah. But who knew about
But
that?
I didn't know it came up to 6 Flags.
No.
I'm like, oh, that I turned around.
Yeah.
Just seems like an opportunity, going back to wayfinding, like, it would be great, I think, for us to have some kind of, as we talk about signage down the road, some kind of small, like, wayfinding sign that said, like, half-mile trail this way, or like, you know, for people, or I think would be more inviting is we stick a picnic table there. Like, I know the Rotary has some down the road, but if you prefer something a little bit more quiet than like the highway driving by, you know. We don't have to talk about that tonight with limited time, but it's nice. I'm just like, maybe I'll go walk it this week
I'm
too.
gonna walk it because
Yeah.
it's pretty, it's nice.
And the TCU pond, Jill had mentioned to me that is city owned. Is it our jurisdiction too?
I think it's kind of the same situation as Urban Ecology Center. It ends up being in the watershed. It's not like we might do a lot because of water rules, we have to get permission. I think if anything was to be done, it would be ours to do, but it's pretty limited considering what it's the flood control.
We'd have to put it back on our list of parks.
If we were gonna do anything with it.
Because urban ecology is, but
I mean, at the extent would be like walking. I think.
That's what I see people do all the time, all the
I
time.
see, I watch people push strollers back. through
Oh, I've
there.
pushed
Oh,
stroller
that's
probably
right.
100 times
Yeah.
between that. But it would be nice to
And
have
then
from that.
Soren said our first step would be, we gotta figure out who owns it. And then
We know who owns it, we need to find
The
out
city
how
actually-
the land is deeded. If
This-
it's how it, based upon how the deed reads determines what can be done with property.
Oh, I
So-
thought it was deeded to us. From the,
I mean, we only pay property taxes on it.
Right, the city owns it, if it's deeded for park use, then it's park. If it's deeded for watershed, then I think it's open to interpretation and what the park and rec would like to do with it.
Okay.
We take it off our list and say it's-
Call it the
I mean,
city and still
when I-
probably put a sidewalk in there.
yeah, but it was off the list last fall because of when I had asked whether we wanted to.
The name was so easy.
The name was, and I was gonna look into it, and then we determined that it wasn't on our list anymore, so we'll just, and then, one of the council members inquired as to what the status was, so this is what we're working on. And to solve the problem.
And I know it was discussed and Soren was there, so it was at least a month ago now. Because he wasn't at the last meeting,
I was an
the city attorney. And I don't know who owned the responsibility to follow up. I don't know if it was with him or if it was with city manager.
I got the impression that,
I can't
Alright.
the
remember.
city was supposed to find out.
So dug it out.
Any other questions on PCO at this point? Otherwise, we'll.
I think it's just what do we need to do to follow up on this? Like, do we feel like, I guess it's the deed information, right, Tim? Like, we need to know, like, just do we consider any spending with these parks, or if they're not parks? Because I think that we could have a lot of potential with that urban ecology center. Even Laura and I had talked about it. There is accessibility to get in there that could be where we could do more of a nature playscape, you know, for people who go kids on that trail. You can, because we want to do it Southwood, but there's no room for us to do anything like that at Southwood, and that's what was in our plan. But we just want to know if they're gonna get follow up on that. Something we'll do with it.
I just personally, I think it's just foolishness to even think of this as a park and do anything with it. It's on game water,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, and I just
Yeah.
can't see any putting any money or.
I agree with you, but urban ecology is
Oh,
a
yeah,
different
yeah.
story
That's
altogether.
exactly,
Yeah.
I'd rather see any money going there, going to the urban.
Yeah.
college.
Then the piece of pond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I know the
Well,
city-
just to find out
I know
more
the city
about-
maintains that because I lived on that road, and the city mowers would go up and down to mow that.
Well, if we're not concerned about acquiring
Then take it
PC
off.
pond, then.
But if it's deeded as a parkland, then it is our problem.
Yeah, well, so we'll just wait and see.
Okay.
And for now, it's
That's
just
all
about
I'll put you on.
most priority we have.
But we need to remove that sign, 'cause it's not
I know.
see you
It's almost
anymore.
embarrassing.
and-
Took those
Or
Well,
not
it's
last
not
year.
PC,
come off
but-
no matter what.
Right.
Well, you're talking about PCU again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
take that sign
Something like
down, because they don't sponsor it anymore.
Well, I was wondering if we wanted to find out by
Expensive
the
write-ups on it.
Urban ecology,
not urban
Target,
ecology, but the target lake, target funds.
yeah,
So
that's
can
what
we-
she's talking
that's what I was
about.
talking
That's
about,
what you were talking about.
PCU.
Is there a possibility to take that sign down at TCU pond?
Before we get any signs of, I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think we can.
Certainly don't think we can spend $1,000 on a sign for that.
No.
No,
Okay, no sign.
no, let's take the sign.
Get it out of there.
Okay, take the sign down. We'll go from there.
Well,
Urban ecology one.
so time out, which sign?
There's
There's more than one.
TCU pond sign
Okay.
That's probably just makes
moved,
sense.
taken.
Because there's
and-
another sign that calls it Ecology Center. As you come south on Margaret, it's right there on the corner of 11th and Margaret. Mhm.
Oh,
We call it
No,
Margaret.
not on Margaret.
Good night, sorry.
Yeah.
One of the M streets.
I've
I've only been here like 24 years. I don't know.
Oh, do we, I'll take them all down?
Anything
No.
That
that's-
one.
No.
anything that says
No.
PCU.
No.
If you want to take the sponsorship sign down, I would support that,
Right.
but it's name. We've got to figure out what's going on with it before I remove the other sign.
What does the
That's
other-
my opinion.
what does the
Why
other
should
sign
it
say?
say urban ecology if urban ecology is by
I
south?
don't know, what did we call it in the book? Whatever it's called in here is what the sign says. It's, no, that's the advertising.
Target plan? I think it's.
I don't think it was on our list.
Environmental one.
That's exactly what it's called. Thank
That's
you.
what's in,
Yeah.
that's what's in the book, but on the sign it says PCU Environmental Center.
Well, PCU is a sponsorship sign.
But it says both on the same sign,
No,
is that what you're saying?
PCU is just like this little circle, so I'm hoping I.
So take-
and that's on 11th facing PCU,
so just take the
or whatever it's
PCU
called now.
part off.
The other one is on, so that'd be 13th. It's the street up.
I
My
thought we
apologies.
determined that it wasn't in our jurisdiction at the time last fall. And that's why this all started. Because I had brought up, we want to sponsor it, and then we had discussed it, well, my this is a nice thing.
All done checking what's on the.
Yep.
Yep, so, okay. Moving along, so we got anything else with that? All right. Park selection to begin, project selection. I'm open to suggestions on how we pursue this in an orderly and time-consuming fashion.
Do we have that list handy? The one that had the 1, 3, 5, whatever goals. Remember we did like 1 year and then we did like 3 years.
If you look in short term, it would have
Okay.
probably all of our ones.
Sorry.
Short term projects,
Here it is.
page 56.
Didn't realize there was an index.
You want to start there?
Yeah, I think so. But this is what the council signed off on this. Is this a done deal, Tim?
This is it.
So council has
Yeah.
approved the improvement plan They
Yeah,
haven't
projects.
approved any of the spending.
Yes.
Right.
But we've gotten past the biggest hurdle. That's,
Yes.
Yes.
Where's our champagne?
I know.
No one's making this a big deal. It's been like 800
It was
years in the
approved,
making.
May,
I did.
May second, May
Like,
third,
thank God. Okay.
It was my favorite.
and there was very little questions about anything other than, yeah, we're in passage. So,
Okay.
so
The first one is the signs, and we already did a motion to approve those, correct? Or the spending for it?
No, a few times.
I thought like last month. Or the month before we were doing Rotary, we said we were gonna do X amount of signs. We were doing the big ones and the small ones.
I thought that was
Did you
done when
make a
Keith
motion?
was still here.
Well, it was, but then that.
At Rotary Park, remember that?
I
meeting?
believe.
Oh,
That was
here's
the
my
last
park
meeting
sign.
that a lot of them were at.
Yeah.
So we agreed. That was 6 big signs, 6 small signs. Did we make a motion to approve the spending on that?
I don't think the spending will be up the money part in the motion. I think it's really going by what we're purchasing.
we're still working with planning commission and
Oh, to get the
So
signs
for-
approved.
as to what the designs.
Because you know what I'm in? I'm in like approval mode. I'm like, let's make a motion.
I know.
Let's start spending money. I'm like,
I will order them as soon as.
Tim, didn't we at that meeting many years ago at Rotary Park? I think we voted to allot 32,000 for half the signs, and then we're gonna do the other half.
but the ones she found were way cheaper than that.
The last time I talked to the manufacturer, he went out and he looked at our signs and he measured them, like they're very big. They're like 8 feet wide. So
Yeah.
the size in the version that we looked at, it's gonna look very different. So I can throw out the suggestion. They're gonna be similar to what Rotary is gonna get for that wayfinding. If you're okay waiting until that's done, looking at them, making sure that's, you like it. And I won't start working on the proposal. I really think we're gonna see all of them laid out size wise.
Did you have like a rough estimate? Like, because I think now 32 is too high. I'm just curious as we go through this, like, because if it goes down to 15, that opens up quite a bit of money to maybe do something else. Because I thought, I guess I didn't write down the price here.
Other size, but I know the wayfinding for Rotary, one section was about 1,100. And that was a 5 4 by 3 or 5 by 4.
Okay. And we had 15. I mean, some of those are small, but if you go on the high end, you said that was 1,100.
I did reach out to a manufacturer in Oakdale also. Just so you would have kind of a reference for pricing, just because I don't want to buy something that way other prices. This is another sign sample that they came up with. They,
That's nice.
and they would be able to do something like this with the metal poles on the side. So if they'd be two-sided, they wouldn't be posted this way, they'd have the sides.
That sign's really, that would be really nice at South
Yes,
Logan,
it would.
that Urban Ecology Center, just to show people a map.
And then this is.
Somebody have to go back there and chart it out first.
Sue's already done it.
All right.
Here's the mattress, turn left at that.
Yeah, they got a map already.
This was the quote for those.
Oh, so we did all of them in that.
Yeah, 34.
Oh, all of our signs.
Okay,
So
16
there
or
were
35.
16 of them, and it ran around 35.
Okay.
They're just ribbon.
And this is in
35,000.
Oakdale.
34,000.
Yeah, what did I say?
100.
Oh,
Oh.
well,
But I like the way you say.
This is this is a local company, but the
I just
Oakdale.
in Oakdale.
Oh, great.
And then can we go look at some of their signs that have been around for a while? Do they have
I can
samples
go
out and about?
I didn't see.
I would love to see one
It's
that's,
a
you know,
good
like
investigate and-
5 years old or
Right.
10
Yeah.
years old.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
to see
Good
how they
idea.
wear.
Yeah, because I did ask for something that was, they did have fancier ones, you know, to see at the other city parks, those that you have to maintain those, that you have to paint those.
So that looks like it's wood.
Yeah, it's,
Polymer.
yes.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Biodegradable
What-
polymer.
Oh, it's some
I
tiny
don't know what they
pieces.
call it.
Thanks for the,
Yeah, so it's a flat sign, you do two colors, it would be the blue and white.
I
and
love
then-
that one.
Yeah. that
They
works.
rub it. They rub it.
Oh,
One
okay.
That's
percent
biodegradable.
second option. So we know what we're getting to. But I cannot see the glare, it's terrible. Okay.
So maybe I just leave the 32. in case.
Those two posts.
So then the next short term was the Rotary Park kiosk, which they're paying for, so we can assume we don't have to worry about that one, right? Weren't they paying for most of that? They got donations, and it came in cheaper than what they had planned on too.
So that one we can consider done. And the reason I ask that is that at the end of the year, that we can update city council as to what we accomplished. Okay.
Yes, the Rotary Park sign, they're working on the design, I'm gonna get the dimension, I will get the concrete slab in there so they can get their grant for 850 in July, and then the money they have will pay for the sign, and we would take care of the parking.
I'm trying to move through this quickly because I have to leave in a little bit, but can we just pause on the housing park for a second? Because I know that there's some discussions there. I just want to, sure, the ones that are short.
Which one you want to go to?
Like Polar Park.
So
Is that the one?
can I pause? So what's the approach? Shotgun, or are you taking a very directive approach of what you want council to sign off on?
Well, I don't know that anything's gonna be signed off on tonight, but I think we have at least the discussions around like what we think is good or bad. If there's something votable, like the signs, I thought we were gonna place, maybe we could say like,
Let's double check. I think they've been done, but they might need to be, we approved them.
well, she said anything under 25, we don't. take it.
I don't have to need free
Sneak that
bids.
past council.
Yeah.
I don't need free bids.
Oh, you
Right.
did.
But
Oh, I
then
see.
even I'm
Got it.
finding, I'm having a hard time even finding people. calling
So
back.
Park and Rec makes recommendations, council approves.
Yep.
Spending.
But for tonight, since we were talking about wanting to spend money, because we haven't in 3 years, I thought it'd be a good approach to see what we felt like was maybe the most important of what's left, because I think even in the short-term project, this is 1 to 5 years, so we're not gonna do all these this year, but maybe we feel strongly about something. Housing's had a lot of conversation, which is why I'm just like, for 1 second, let's pause on that.
Any objection to that?
I mean, I think we can come back to it in a minute. I just want to feel people's appetites. So Polar Park, that's the little one it's got an older place that had it, right? We replaced the swings and,
Put it back at ADA at that point.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my.
well, and that's what's tricky is it just says improvements, which is probably good that we were that vague, but now I'm trying to see.
We had dates on these, so like the timeline from Polar Park is 23, but if we go to downtown park, that was timeline 22. So how much we guidance, do you know what I mean?
Polar Park starts on page 30. Yeah, the detail. Thank you.
Oh, we did put in a path there. Remember, we did do a bit of work there. The play structure is older, but we put in a new playground or a new,
Concrete
swings,
swings,
new
a bench, swings, and 2 benches.
so the playground's 97 though, that is older. So we should I think this one might be one we want to
Playground.
consider.
We just put swings in.
Okay.
I think that play structure is pretty old, and I haven't been there in a while, but I'm guessing it's those rubber ones that chipped, so. I'm just gonna make a note here that like a new playground is probably needed sooner than later. Not saying that has to be done right now, but just like. Because that path is really nice, so we've made it very accessible, but we've left something kind of old and not as fun.
Yeah, 75,000 earmarked for playground.
Probably. That's a generous playground compared to what we did with 40 holes. It's pretty small. Those were only 20 bucks. But that's wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the usage on that park is. Usually pretty close to Casey.
You want to move forward with that?
Well, I don't, I'm just making a note to like come back and we talk. Once we see it all, we can say, here's what caught you the most, right? Like if Nancy's like, I feel very strongly about this. Okay, so next page is the downtown park, 8 to 10, that's silly. I obviously feel pretty strong about that, but that goes back to where we do it, which is so part of the-
Where did we come up with that?
Those 8 to 10,000, I think those are plans, just planning.
Oh, planning
Those are not
costs.
the actual
planning
costs of like
costs.
doing anything. These are probably the next 4 big ones, that the 8 to 10,000 would just be WSB
Oh.
and famous layout of.
Yeah, it would
So-
be property first.
Just as a basis for costing, the well, parking lot now that's between Sidewinders and the tattoo parlor.
Yeah. The
Um,
one I wanted, I always wanted.
the EDA is looking to convert that into parking off of Sepulveda and a green space up on the front, just so that the city is in compliance with city ordinances to maintain the property. First bid on that came in at about $75,000,
Put a grass
just
in?
to put in grass and a little bit of blacktop.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the $8,000 to $10,000 that's there would probably just cover
That's just the
WSB
plan.
or somebody else drawing up a plan
So when you say that, are they gonna spend 75 grand and then eventually,
for building on it.
yeah,
But right now, no, because that came in a lot higher
Why
than
wouldn't they-
anybody expected.
why would they spend 75 grand on it? Not with all that. It's a lot of money.
So needless to say, the EDA is not moving forward with it at this point. They pushed back for,
So what are they not in compliance with?
just everything's supposed to be turned back grass.
Green.
Oh,
If something's taken down, it's turned back to green.
There's a lot of properties in the city that aren't there, not all of them are owned by the city, but the old round round.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. That's a weed garden right there.
So there are others across the street. So the city owns some and private sector owns some that we need, the goal was to lead by example.
right, so we know those are planning costs, so maybe we should pick one each year and plan something.
McKnight Fields, that's page 39.
Well, those are all basically based on what she's still saying is the 8 to 10 is all so that we can plan, like the WSB. So there's nothing else we can really plan around. We just have to say, yep, we're ready to dive into McKnight, so let's get that study done, or, right?
So I did reach out to Candace. Maybe try and get a quote on that analysis. And her answers, try and. She didn't give me a price. So it's typically done with park improvement plan. They sort of did
I'm
it,
sorry, what is this?
the like analysis, the data analysis
Oh.
with the demographics. Typically part of the planning process with this, it was sort of done, but then they went.
Do they
They
have
did the
anything they can
plan
share
based
with
on
us,
what we
maybe,
wanted to.
based on what we already spent money?
Sort of, and but then in the end, she said, well, you'd still want to do a little research and talk to people in the neighborhood, because when they do the analysis, the commercial space throws it all up too. So even when you do the analysis, you still have to do a lot of work.
Well, maybe if she could send us anything they have, like that would just give us like rough demographic. Yeah, I mean, anything ages.
Anything else with that?
Yeah. I think we just should decide on that like later, right? Go
I like the process we got going here now.
It's my fast process.
Well, yeah, just
Well,
kind
yeah,
of summarizing.
So short-term, Casey Lake, rink improvements, this says 2024. I say this is one we hold on talking about because this is the one that keeps getting brought up for like, can we do something with it when it's not being used as a rink or pave it, or like, remember that was brought up. I think, Jill.
I'm under the impression that Public Works replaced a bunch of boards on it.
They did, yeah. I saw them do it last year. That's it for the short term.
Is that what
No,
you just said?
On Casey
Yes.
Lake, they replaced
Casey
some
Lake.
boards, yeah.
What about Northwood?
No, I think no.
I think that's under that Northwood.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so then,
let's go back to Casey Lake and then. Do we need to go back to Northwood? Before we go to Casey Lake?
Yeah, that was the end of
Because we're kind of going,
the rink was the end of the short-term projects.
Oh,
Turn the
okay.
page.
I missed.
Right,
it.
yeah.
Sorry, because that whole page right there, the 8 to 10, is all just project plans. So it's not actually us doing anything to those parks, it's us buying a plan from our, you know. So that I think we just say, we decide, you know. Yeah, we say, okay, you know what, like, we've been talking about this down, I'm gonna broken, you know, record over here, but like, we got people living in those apartments now, we've got a restaurant open, we got people coming downtown and we have no green space. None, except the weird pockets of, you know, whatever, or, and everyone's solution is housing, but I'm like, housing is like 5 blocks away. If I had a dog and it's -20 outside, I'm not walking that dog 6 blocks. It's gonna end up on someone's lawn, which is gonna make people angry. Just anyways, not to
If you
Beat
live
it
in a
down.
neighborhood without a choice, that's what you do.
Yeah,
You don't have a
exactly.
choice. I don't take my dog for a walk in the park. No, and you just pick up that.
Yeah,
But you
Yeah.
moved in as a single person, you didn't move in 500 people that might be, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna start having some angry neighbors around there. Because as much as you pick up your dog's stuff, a lot of people.
Nancy,
Yes.
go ahead. Everything?
No, I just, I kind of
Yeah.
agreed with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can take the dog. for a
Anywhere,
walk.
yeah, that's,
Just,
No,
there's a
right.
little patch of green space downtown. I don't think.
But Sarah's right, dogs aside, Sarah's right, we need more green space, we just suddenly added a lot.
We took money from these projects and we've given them nothing in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their response was, we're gonna give you 100 grand for your park improvement plan because we're not building a playground or something.
I wonder how
And then
many
we've
of
been
those-
holding on to that money for 6 or 7 years, I mean, plus other projects, right? But
But I wonder how many of those new apartments right in downtown are about kids. I don't really think there's a lot.
you'd
of
be
kids
surprised
in
with the
there.
housing crisis that a lot of people don't have options. Like, I know several people with families living in 2-bedroom apartments, not because they can't afford a house, they can't find something, and they sold their old house. But bigger yet is those townhomes that have, I think are almost sold out or something, like, those are family, you know, they also don't have a place to go, except our urban ecology center, right?
The apartments by,
They don't know about because
Because there's no
my
sun.
Anchor View apartments are gonna have their own playground if they don't already. Playground.
So question, Jill, I know these are in our short term, but let's say we decided less than 5 years, we want to tackle urban ecology center, like, can we amend this? It's not set in
Oh,
stone.
yeah.
Because after going through this, part of me feels like that might be more of a, it might be an immediate fix to the issue of not having, especially those townhomes, like not having a place to go. That would be more immediate than us starting a WSP plan and trying to find, you know, I don't know.
well, the urban ecology center would be a quick fix.
That's what I mean. That would be like a 1-day project probably
Well,
for them to put in.
Find somebody to fix the signs and take the stinking bed benches out and.
Leave the bed, make it an art installation.
I
We
mean,
can always tweak this. It's tweaked where I really like it.
And then the one we didn't talk about was, I thought it was Northwood Housing Project. That's where the tennis.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna look for housing, if anyone knows where the page is.
Unless we go tabs on the side here.
I know.
Yeah.
I do love your-
Two.
North is 24.
I think the big thing here was the tennis court, right?
Yeah, that's an ongoing issue.
You know, something I just learned, and I think we talked about it, when we talked about putting pickleball in there. I met a guy that was in Lakeville, and they have a very nice center for exercise and park building or something, and they have pickleboard there, pickleball, and it's in a neighborhood, and they cannot any longer play pickleball there because the neighbors don't think some other noise is nice.
Yeah.
Because it's so popular, people were just using it so
It's
much.
loud, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Paddle.
That's a
It's
concern,
like
that's a
your-
concern at housing.
Yeah.
That is
It's-
a-
Yeah.
I don't understand
But the
why we never
board's
talked,
solid.
we never talked about a
We did.
basketball court. What's wrong with the
Sorry.
basketball?
No,
That would be
we
so
did.
easy.
Yeah.
We did, it was the resurfacing, no matter what, was still gonna cost us like 70, 80 grand.
The problem was the footprint had to be changed, extended out. And
For a
whatever-
basketball?
Yeah.
Whatever we did,
Oh.
WSB said we had to extend the footprint. And we had to deal with ADA compliance from the trail there all the way down to the little houses, the
I think
buildings.
we made any
If we did any
improvements.
improvements, it was gonna be.
I mean, anything you put in there is probably going to be loud. If you're volleyball, it's gonna be loud. Basketball. Basketball.
But there's
yeah.
basketball at Water Tower Park, and I've never heard of anybody playing.
Are we going to housing this year?
We are, that's
This is
July.
the
the
truck
food
night.
truck.
There haven't been any complaints on Silver Lake either.
No.
It's lived right across the street.
Right, I haven't heard, or has the city received any complaints about? the
So maybe I
sound
made a
and-
point here. I don't.
Well-
But pickleball has not, like, it was used quite a bit last year, and it will be again this year. So I'm curious to hear if anybody down on that.
And the public hearing, I mean, would definitely be something we would do with this one. So it would be,
I think maybe that's what we do with housing is,
and it's an option to get maybe 3 different choices. I mean, that court could be anything from tennis, pickleball,
Maybe-
basketball, volleyball, and. kind of a public
could we
hearing
just
where you
put out a
have
table
plan.
and say, vote on what you want to see happen here, and then have a fourth one that says, give us your opinions, or maybe we just have a box say, tell us what you want to see happen to this. Maybe we have time to think about that, but it'd be great since
Give them
everyone's
some
gonna be at that park, we could get our own community like feedback in one session, and instead of beating ourselves up trying to figure out what to do with it, just let the public say what they would like to see happen to it.
If we send that letter out, I would be curious to think that we want to say some of the ideas that we're gonna put in there.
Yeah.
Some people may not want to come. Oh, they're gonna do improvements, okay. But if you say, well, we might do pickleball, we might. do
Help us decide the
volleyball.
future of this.
Well, then they might go, I'm either show up because they want to or show up because they don't want to.
I mean, the plan for housing is pretty close. So we had all the ADA passed, and then we had the court right now.
So my
and it was
suggestion
really
is
close,
we-
and now I think it's just deciding.
Is when we send out that letter to the community, because we're sending out and tell them we want to do either pickleball or volleyball or basketball, and we need your input as to what you like to do.
Our meeting is their food truck night
Yeah.
in July.
Yeah.
That's what, there's gonna be a
Oh,
lot
well,
of people at that park. That's why I'm saying, make something easy that's visual, like voting boxes where people can put a ticket in.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying, like, let's,
Mhm.
we can come up with some options. Maybe you guys can do it tonight, but like, come up with options. We can make little boxes and give people tickets and have them draw,
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
have
work
a
the room.
suggestion, say, don't see your idea here, like, put it down, and then we can get people's ideas.
You could work the room, you know, like, if you had 3 or 4 people milling around with your clipboard saying, by the way, give us some feedback over there in the box, you know, like, here's your form with all your choices, you know, make it super simple for them to, you know, so that, you know, I'm saying go to them so that they don't have to just discover it. Yeah. Then you'll get a real, well, then you'll get a mix of people who live at Housing and other people too, who don't live at Housing.
But Mike,
Right, that's part of it. Yeah, but thanks.
okay, so before I do have to leave in a second,
Yeah, we'll-
would
Just
it
the
be,
notes.
would it be helpful just to like, everyone go around the room and say like your top 2 or 3 things you heard that you're like, these things feel like more of a priority, and we can just kind of decide
For
like,
housing?
no, for like the short-term projects,
Yeah.
like say, or if it's not on there, like, because then I think we could just do like a, hey, you know what? By tally of the group, most people felt like housing, most people felt like this, most people felt like this. And I can tell you right now that I'm gonna add the urban ecology on that, but like, I can kick it off since I'm
Okay.
talking so fast.
How about if we want to just jump to each one and we'll
Like,
take a vote on each one?
yeah, to the
Okay.
hands, yeah.
All right, let's start with park sign. How are we gonna call that? Okay, park signs, those in favor of that being number 1, say aye. How many we got? All opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that's gonna be our number 1 then. We did it.
Got one on the list. Woo!
Housing Park,
Not,
I think it's important, but I think you go to ecology first as
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
easiest, lowest hanging fruit to get the most kind of
Okay.
return on it. For those, hopefully not a lot of money, whereas
I agree.
housing, we've talked about that a ton.
yeah.
so do you wanna call this urban ecology?
It's
I,
think
number
that
2.
would-
Is that Target Pond or is that,
No, that's
No,
the
no,
Gateway
no.
Trail one.
okay,
Okay, so
Close to
urban
the
ecology,
townhomes, the new townhomes.
urban ecology is number 2, all in favor, say aye.
To do what
All
to it?
opposed?
Well, so what we talked a little bit about is like
Prioritize.
either maintaining, doing something to the trail, or, I mean, we can talk more about what we want to do to it. But then
I
we-
thought,
Get rid
I
of the
missed, I
matches.
thought I missed something.
Get
That
rid of the
there were
matches.
plans laid out. It's
No.
like,
So-
what are you gonna do with it?
No.
I'm trying to
What
narrow
Laura and
it.
I have been talking
But like
about for a
the
while,
signs are cruddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Get rid of the signs, get rid of the mattress.
get some good signs that direct, like
little
maybe
better
what that
sign.
trail is.
It's fun to make it
Well, no,
more visible
Maybe a
and
picnic table,
bright and
yeah.
something.
Laura and
I
I,
wouldn't even do that.
Let's
That'd be a ton.
I wouldn't do anything. I would take out the crummy benches, fix the signs, and be done.
That'd be a trail.
There is a platform in there. There are some good there's a place where you could sit and have a picnic one
Yeah.
if you wanted to. But you start putting picnic tables in there and then you gotta anchor them down or you gotta do this. or you gotta
Why
do
don't
that.
we, just to suggest, why don't we go through this and then we can jump back
So
to, to
Yeah.
what? to
So
the
that's number
details.
2.
Okay, housing park, that's not in the rank right now.
I think that's gonna end up being next year, because I think we need to get, I think what we need to do is get the feedback this year, and by the time we're gonna be able to spend money on it, it would be a later.
to break the rule of the detail, on the solar park. Now that had the tennis courts and now, is it dual courts?
Yes,
Is it
yes,
tennis?
it is.
I mean,
And pickleball, yeah.
okay.
It
right.
was.
We did
It's
it.
working.
So we could do the same at Halsey to have them dual, because some people are like. oh,
No,
you can't go to
There
tennis.
was, that was part of
There's
the
a
issue with
room
the
in
tennis.
that
There
spot.
isn't enough.
Okay,
You can't walk around the posts on the side
right.
and
So
so
if it got made bigger, which is what they had
you
said.
have to make it bigger.
right,
Which
I
makes
think
it
they
like
have
a-
to no matter what, don't
But that makes it like $160,000
Do you
project.
want it priority 3?
Then we have to say, is it worth
they? Yeah,
it?
I live right
Yeah,
here. It's
housing
our
does seem
part
like
more
it's
than it's
priority,
small, but
because we've been
I
really
thought we
talking
almost
about.
had.
I know
Yeah.
that's a priority, I'm just saying it's probably not
I
gonna
mean-
happen
Yeah.
this year, because
Yeah.
It just-
I think
By
it's a priority because it looks like crap.
Okay, do
That's,
we,
that's why I would think it'd be a priority.
It looks
but
like
does
crap.
look
It looks
really bad.
terrible.
Which
but I would say,
Oh.
a 25-year-old playground is more urgent than a
Okay.
tennis court we could put up.
let's take, since we got it sounds like we got
I can see that.
2 sides. Housing park being our number 3 priority. All in favor, say aye. Okay.
Agree
In
that
terms
could
of
be a next
planning?
year thing.
But-
Well, no, for this
You
year.
mean
Yeah,
spending money on it?
That was our number,
Or
this is,
begin
that's to be
planning?
our number 3 priority. Do we want it to
Or
be our number?
spending money or?
Yeah,
At this
spending
point.
money.
Okay. okay,
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would say we could still get to it, like, I think we can still talk, I think we have to talk about it, we have an opportunity. But I'm just saying realistically, it's probably not gonna get done this year, so put it on the top of our
Yeah.
priority.
Anybody have an objection to moving it to next year?
Or just further down the list.
Me,
Or further
but
down?
I don't get to vote.
Well, and if I'm gonna be doing a lot of the number plan and stuff, small, medium, and large is great, because it probably is gonna take a lot of work and a lot of time, but I could start it now and. then
Yeah.
we can-
I still think we need to be talking about housing, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, I
I
don't
think
think
we
it's number
talk too
3, I
much
think it's
about
probably number
housing.
4 or 5.
Okay, do we
and
want
it's-
it,
we're
do we
still-
want it, do we want it number 3?
I would like to go with.
Okay, let's take a vote. Those who want it for number 3, say aye.
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 I,
That's 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed.
Kind of into it. I
Yeah.
see the hands you're doing the polar night stuff. I won't give it up.
So you're voting which way?
Well, I think Jill's right. Let's get it rolling now.
Yeah.
So I would say
Yeah,
maybe,
Talking
maybe
about this
4,
for, yeah.
because it's gonna
ever.
need some ramp.
Hold on, I just need,
I know.
so, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, so it's number 3. Okay,
Which is.
Polar Park, we can get into the details later.
Yeah.
And this all can be changed and
Yeah,
tweaked.
Plus, it'd be better with the rest of, a lot of people gone.
Polar
tonight.
Park improvements.
I say, that's a vote for me, yeah.
Okay, so.
The lifespan of a playground is 20 years, and
What
we're
might be
pushing.
next, though?
you know
Well-
what bothers me though, we're seeing the lifespan is done without looking at it. How do you know that until you look at it?
Well, JD's playground was built in 90, or Casey Lake was built in 97 too, and it was decrepit.
I know, but
Rebuilt
they're
it
all
in
made out of
70.
different materials. They're all different.
It's
Unless you
rubber
look at it,
based.
how do you know though?
Well, from what I recall, it was the same build, they put it in the same time they did Casey Lake. So it was all the same game time company. And it was that rubber coated metal, with the little diamonds. So I haven't looked at it in the last year or two. I remember thinking it looked pretty bad, but it was doable. It was like one of those, like, you're like, okay, well, in the priority of things, this wasn't the worst one. But now it actually is the only one we have that's more than 10 years old. The Silver Lake will be the next oldest.
97.
It's kind of
I
blue
work with
with
people who weren't
brown,
born then.
two brown little covers.
It would,
On
would
a
it be
slide.
like a
In the,
replacing
city,
first
again,
name?
in the interest of
Or are
time,
we doing something?
Well, we can go through those
Where do you
details,
want-
yeah.
Right.
what we have left is park, Polar Park improvements, downtown park, like Night Fields, Casey Lake, and North Lake.
Northwood
And the
is on
Casey
short one.
Lake, improvements, where do you want? You want park, Polar Park improvements? 5? Or do we move to another one?
Wait,
We're
I
on
thought-
number 4.
So,
We're on, what do we have, number 4 now? Okay, number on, so do you want Case, Polar Park to be our number 4 priority, or do you want something else in this?
So,
59 to 60 and 61,
but urban ecology isn't even in here yet.
No, that's why we have to,
No,
we had
we-
to add it.
we'll add it,
Okay.
it's in there, but it's,
Okay.
well, it's there,
Um,
but again, it can be tweaked, and that's, so,
Knowing the other ones are plans, I think they're so doable, like, I think some of them are doable, but again, knowing we're not gonna physically do anything to that space, like.
Okay.
My vote is for,
okay, we're gonna vote for Polar.
number 4.
yeah, and
You know
I,
what, let's
yeah,
do it this way, let's make it just unofficial motion, so you got a motion that you want it to be Polar is number 4.
Yeah.
A second,
I guess I need to know what
The condition is.
what the condition is, and then what are our choices after that?
That's
I
what
can't,
I
I
want.
can't, rank- I'm having
Yeah.
trouble
Yeah.
ranking them.
Yeah.
I'm
so
having trouble
we
ranking
can always
them.
tweak this.
Northwood,
Yeah,
What's left is Polar Park, the downtown park, Casey Lake improvements. What about, where's the?
North.
And then,
Urban ecology is
we have
number
to
2.
add it.
I think
We'll add
that's,
it.
that's like,
Yep.
It's in there.
yeah.
but we already said that's
We already
number
said
two.
that's
Oh, we did, oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
number 2.
Oh, we said it's
All right.
number 2, now we're trying to
Okay.
decide number 4.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So for the downtown one? There is no space for the downtown one.
There is a triangle park, so right outside the VFW,
Right,
that says that is called downtown.
but we're not putting a sweet set there, right?
Well, I would like to do something,
I
but
know-
that's
I
what,
know
that's
you
what the
do.
$8,000 to $10,000,
Right.
because they've also offered where that old gas station was, which again, would have to do some
Yeah.
research
Is
to whatever.
is it a priority right now?
This is what I'm asking is, in
Yeah.
reality, is anything gonna happen downtown this year?
No, that's
Okay.
why I'm
Then
saying,
let's-
let's take that off the
let's
list
go.
of
Let's-
of our options.
That's gonna be done.
Okay.
Is anything gonna be done with Polar Park improvements? Good way to look at it.
She want,
Okay,
we got to vote for.
go ahead.
So now what's left?
4.
Anybody else? With Sarah, I'm just gonna run that
well,
one.
no, so what's left is, I think what's easy to say is I think
Yeah.
Casey Lake improvements, Casey Lake improvements, which is like the hockey rink,
Yep,
those things, which that was slated for 2024, so that's, we're getting ourselves ahead of that. And then the 4 that you're looking at, that's McKnight,
Mhm.
Northwood, all those are not budgeted or planned to do park improvements. Those are just to get, so for Northwood, it was gonna be to do the research on the building, the other stuff. So we're not getting anything physical for those. That's what I think. I still would love to start the downtown research, like have a firm actually do that so we could, but that was still a 3-year out plan. But that's not, Polar Park is we can physically put a new playground in for all the people that live in that neighborhood and put something in there that will bring joy to people this year.
Then
Okay.
I'll go for.
Those other
Okay.
ones we can't do anything
So
about.
let's
I'll
go with-
give
That's
an
good.
unofficial.
unofficial second,
Polar Park.
okay. All in favor, what do we got, number 4?
For-
All in favor of Polar Park improvements being the number 4 priority for this year, raise your hand. All opposed, okay, that's number 4. Keeping in mind, things can be tweaked at any time. As long as we always have core, all right, so what do we got? Like Sarah said, what do we want to do downtown? Next Fields, Casey Lake, Northwood.
Well,
We
they
wanna
all,
start-
they all have issues, so I think we have to decide which one, right? Because they all.
And then we got the hockey rink.
I'm not worried about.
What is the east side of DC Park? What is that exactly?
We were gonna work to put in like a
Yeah,
ninja course or like an
yeah,
exercise
Like
thing.
an adult sort of.
That's
more of
right.
an
We actually went out and got
adult-
research on that, like,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
do right in the middle of this pandemic.
Well, that might be something that.
I know.
What else?
But that could also, end up being cool at housing, like, it's just like, we could think of these spaces, like she said, differently than how we have them, and that might be part of these surveys, that like, maybe what we need to do in number 5 is like, get an actual demographic survey, have them resend this online, because we did this many years ago, and then I think the data was ignored. I mean, because it's like, we need to know what people want and what they use, and that almost feels more important to me, because before we tear anything up at McKnight, which is also a mess, or before we take down the shelter at Northwood, like, what would we put there, you know, or what do we, because, you
Which
know,
one?
with Northwood, like, do we want to spend 500 grand to put a tiny building up? Like, that doesn't seem like worth it when we could put, God knows what, 5 tennis courts somewhere, I don't know, but.
Which one of these are we going to this year?
Housing.
Obviously,
So
Housing.
Southwood is June, Housing is July, and then, the 7th Avenue Walk is.
Okay. So none of these on page 60 are,
What is the Seventh Avenue walk?
Yeah, looking for downtown space. So it would probably be from here to
Scavenger hunt.
the triangle.
also it's basically the downtown.
Basically
issue.
triangle.
We didn't
Oh.
decide that one, I don't ever remember talking about that.
So we were talking about the
That was
downtown. part.
January, but I mean,
So where's the meeting point gonna be?
this is City Hall. That's here.
Oh.
That's the front. And then you would start down there, if you don't want to do that.
So since we're
If there
moving,
is something that's gonna be.
since
more
we're going to be down there, any objects, how about, I would make a motion, we say, number 5 is downtown parks, so going down there, we can get some information.
I think getting the research done, like putting some pressure on the city to work alongside us to say, this is important. It's not gonna be done this year, but we gotta start the
Started.
research sometime. I think that is important. And obviously the other ones are important too, but at least with Northwood, like the building's gonna fall over.
All right. Show of hands of those who want downtown parks in conjunction with the meeting we're having, say aye. Okay, how many back? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sue, you're 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Opposed? Okay, got one opposed. Okay. 5. All right. McKnight, Casey, Northwood. At this point, and the Casey Lake Break.
I have to take off.
Are you
It's
having
really
fun?
great.
I
Yeah.
actually-
I did have a lot of fun. This is very
Sure.
Yeah, it's exciting. There are great
There's an
parks in this
opening on
town.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good to know. Yeah,
Yeah, and, oh, there's an opening on this, I think so. isn't it?
Right.
it was nice to meet you
Yeah.
guys. and-
Thank you, thanks for coming.
Yeah, Peter, thank
I
you.
have to leave too, guys. I'm really
Okay.
sorry.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
You can hear me stop. Yeah. no.
No, we got
Bye,
9.
guys.
Oh, we got it on there.
We got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 4 on the spot. Okay. What are we gonna do with McKnight, Casey Lake, Northwood?
We're looking for the order.
We're looking for the order at
I
this
think
point. and
Ignite is the most important. I'm ashamed of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that,
I'm
So what are you
ashamed of
gonna
the
do with
whole
it?
thing.
Well,
What
what
are
are
you
you,
gonna do with it? What's the strategic plan for
I
the
don't,
space?
well, I don't know,
We're not-
I don't
we're
know
not-
what's
we're not-
possible. That's
hold on,
why.
we're just prioritizing.
we're prioritizing.
But
right now.
how can you prioritize if you don't know what you're gonna do?
That's true, yes.
You don't have an action
Well,
plan
I'm
behind prioritizing.
Well, you can have it, you can have a priority
Yeah.
about your direction,
Okay.
or what you're focusing on, and I think that's what we're doing.
We
Just
can
like-
always tweak it,
I was
because
really gonna
otherwise, if
reach
we
out to
discuss each
WSC
one of
for
these,
that.
we will all be here till,
That's right.
okay, so.
I don't know, it's just
Sue,
my thought.
So
Sue-
thinking you would
okay,
like
so
McKnight to be number 6.
let's go with, Sue would like number 6. So we've got something thrown out there. Those in favor of McKnight
I thought
Field,
you were gonna bring something.
being
else.
number
Sorry.
6,
It's like, what are you gonna bring to 'em?
raise your hand. Say aye
For number 6.
for number 6.
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed?
What do you want?
What do you want?
I don't want a splash pad there, I think that's just.
No,
Oh,
we
we
want-
want-
We're not talking about
we're-
Oh,
we're
not
just-
number 6?
We're just
What order it's in.
prioritizing.
Oh, okay, I'm kind of thinking that Casey Lake idea might be something that's in need for all these new residents that are coming in. And we don't have a community center anymore for exercise and all that.
And see, that's why I think Casey should fix, because of all those people.
I mean, McKnight.
I mean, McKnight,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's
That's
take,
why-
let's
Okay,
take
maybe
the
I'm
vote.
just having a problem thinking what could go in there, but.
Oh, I think the whole thing should be torn out and just
Okay,
put a
There's your
couple
plan.
of,
right there.
Okay,
Here it
we
goes
just
up.
want to
All
get
right,
rid of it.
so we've
And
got
put in some
got-
little decent tennis courts.
1, 2,
Simple.
let's raise our hands.
All right.
Sorry.
For
McKnight,
McKnight?
McKnight is number
Six.
6. Okay, McKnight is number 6. Casey Lake, Northwood, and Casey Lake Rink. Any input on which one should be next?
Well, the rink, said some boards have already been replaced. So maybe it's okay now?
Well, the idea came up with repurposing it. You put some type of, you put blacktop, concrete, something. and-
Dog exercise
and-
area.
Or make it a basketball court for the
Yeah.
summer and hockey rink in the winter, what. That was,
It is flooded in the winter, right? Yeah. Is it used? How do we know?
it is.
I think it is.
It's
yeah.
true. My girl's
Yeah.
not, I would take my girl there, not for hockey, but just for skate.
At McKnight?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
No, Casey.
Casey. I mean,
Casey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Casey, yeah.
I make a proposal that Northwood be number 7. Because Casey Lake's been touched.
Yeah,
Northwood's
Northwood
been
has
left
not
alone.
been worked on for a while. I mean, we did put a new park in there.
But there's a lot of work, there's a lot of connections with ADA issues and
Right.
so forth. Yeah,
There's.
And that
So
building
get the
is
ball
bad.
All
rolling.
right, let's make note.
Okay, all's in favor
Number 7.
for number 7, say aye. All opposed? Okay, Northwood 7. Okay, so that makes Casey Lake in the ring, number 8. Okay,
It was mentioned about housing, you're like, well, I have ideas, but do you think that should
so
more for the town?
Thank you for asking.
Right.
I think that a lot of what has been gone through, there's 2 approaches to look at it, tactical and strategic. A lot of what you put down can be done quickly if signs get presented in front of council, get it approved, then we can move on, get quotes in advance. If a 25-year-old play structure needs to be replaced, everything else over that in Polar was in 2022. Get bids, figure out what you want, that can be done quick and easy. There's a lot of quick things that were on here. What are we calling the ecology center now? The ecology center?
Urban
Did I get it right?
Urban
Urban
ecology.
ecology.
That's a quick fix.
It
A
is.
lot of
Yeah.
that, so what I'm saying is a lot of that stuff can be done in 1 or 2 council meetings once, once Jill and Dean Jill
right
has,
on.
has the opportunity to get things pulled together to present. Then I look at, you've got your strategic stuff. It's of my opinion that the majority of council is gonna look at housing as the #1 priority to come out of this group. That currently is your downtown park. All of the new residents, that is the closest place to there. So the idea is to figure out what is to be done. And sooner than later, the pickleball plant, the pickleball court was 60 grand. The sidewalk was like 100. I mean, it was an expensive project, but it's got to, something needs to be done. If that's where people are gonna go. I asked the question and Lisa sent me an email on, it was kind of ball fields. We've got a lot of ball fields in this town. I want to know how many of them get used. Is that space that's in housing, is that ball field getting used? Is that?
Housing is the only one that they don't schedule because it's too small.
So is that land that can be reappropriated for, take that out and
Does it make
put in something else, if that's where you want a basketball court. That's what I'm saying, that's strategic and tactical. That's why I asked, what do you want to do? And I have opinions for McKnight. Move the baseball field over into where the softball fields are. Your eyes got big.
They did.
Those fields don't get used that much anyways. Give the high school one of the 4 diamonds. Now you've got a whole giant chunk of land back over there. So you got tennis courts that don't get used. There's yet another ball field back over there. I mean, so I'll stop because I obviously had some thought to it, but that's the strategic versus tactical approach that I've looked at it, is that you've got a clean slate depending on what you want to do with it.
You're talking buckets.
Yeah.
Buckets.
But there's, what do they call when we're the appropriation monies that we get from the developments? We have a bucket of money to spend.
if we have a project and it's gonna be great for the city, we will work with finance if they do.
So that's why I say I would move sooner than later on what you want to do at, thank you, kind of like housing. Hey,
Yeah.
that was mine. I knew that wasn't I.
So wait till July though to get, public input.
Do you
from
need
that.
it? You've done it once
Yeah.
already.
I know.
I would say the plans have been, the public spoke, the plans have been done.
Mhm.
The cost to do, WSP already did the plans.
Yep.
Do you move forward with what's been done there? And then figure out what you want to do where the ball field and the skating rink is? I think to leave that as a pleasure rink is cool, just
Yeah.
because it's a community park. I mean, it's dead center, a bunch of houses.
I kind of like the open, I know you were talking about the ball field and like, ooh, we can convert that, but there's the fact that it's too small to like be dominated by weeds and stuff. Does that make it a nice place to go play with your family, with your little ones? And I kind of like an
Just
open
leave it an open
space.
space.
We
kind
still
of
have a
like-
T-ball league. Is that where T-ball goes?
Right,
I don't think we have a T-ball league in our
What
city
about
hall.
girls'
but
softball?
I'm just saying, just because it's not used
No,
by
they
an
would-
organized
they did.
thing, doesn't make it not
My daughter
valuable
played
for
it.
a family.
Did
I'd be
she?
curious to know how many
Now I know it's the little one.
kids learn how to hit there with their dad and their mom. Their
I don't know,
first
what do you
swings,
see
you know what I
out
mean?
of
I live
there?
right by there,
Oh,
but
do
I'm
you?
not looking all the time, but
Yeah.
I've never.
You don't see, okay, my son played
All right.
t-ball there,
Does he?
or,
Oh,
no,
So
when he was
that's-
little.
So
Go
thank you,
ahead,
Artie,
Dave.
for asking. That was, and I
Yeah.
took longer than I wanted to, but that's kind of my mental approach of looking at a lot of this stuff. A lot of the things that, a lot of the quick fixes,
Yeah.
just
Sure. And then,
get the estimates,
that's-
get them in front of council, get the ball moving.
Yeah.
Because based on supply,
Yeah.
it might be here before you get to that playground. It might be.
right,
I can
So,
definitely multitask on the planning, that's like, small, medium, large, different types of things that I'd be looking at, ordering, it's all.
So,
I have
Says
one more
park-
kind of connected question with the
Okay, go
housing
ahead.
though. You just said the council sees that as the downtown park. Currently, we have a very committed person
you have,
to a downtown park.
There is no spot for downtown.
No.
Right, so
So
is
that-
that ever gonna happen?
yes, because planning, you gotta find the space. That's gotta be proposed.
Okay,
What's going on with like legislation? That's gonna be a building.
There are 3 developers coming to the next EDA meeting to present for something to go in that space. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's more housing. But I don't know.
The reason I'm asking is we need to get this woman's space downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and she's right.
Yeah.
She's right. I don't know how big it can be, but it would be a good thing. I do agree that there's not a space big enough for like the use that house is gonna get for downtown.
Right.
And I think you're right. That really housing is downtown, big space, but a small space of some kind downtown. needs
So I think
We
that
just-
needs to be, what does it look like? Because when you hear downtown park,
Right.
it means different things to every
Yes.
person who
Right.
hears it.
Yeah.
When it was presented to council and the word water park was used.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna get anybody to buy off on a downtown
Oh.
water park.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's of my recommendation that the Park and Rec work together on what they want, figure out what space they're looking for. It's, the planning commission is all on board with something downtown from a green space standpoint as well.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of support amongst council. Everyone recognizes there needs to be something.
Yeah.
What and where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like before the apartment went in, every car show, that green space there,
Mhm.
15, 20, 25 kids. The car show's going on, all our kids would play in there. Now that's gone.
And that's why I'm pushing so hard. I just closed it. That's why I'm pushing so hard for that green space next to Sidewinders.
See,
We don't have a place for that we used to have movie on Main. We
Yeah.
haven't had a place for that in a
Yeah.
couple of years either,
Yeah.
but, so knickknacks for sale. It's for sale by owner, the old liquor store.
All right.
So,
Okay, is there funding available to buy that? It's that work. I mean, once it's determined and
Yeah.
worked through with the committee, what that space is gonna look like, I think it will help. There's
No, you're
an
fine.
old playhouse.
This
I
is a
don't know
good
what it
thing.
was before that. It's
Oh, I know.
next to the new building.
Yeah.
As you
I
go
know.
towards the
Oh,
Legion.
yeah,
Used
yeah.
to
That
It
space,
was,
I think
the
Tracy's
moose
got that.
slide.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Masonic Temple.
Masonic Temple, there you go.
Is that a space or is there
I-
something on there?
It's, it's privately owned, but it's space.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's pockets. It's just, and that's actually a big space.
do we,
So can I just
Yeah,
ask,
go
did
ahead.
we discover that we still own the community center? And is there anything right around the community center? Because that's kind of, you know, I
it's an
remember
ongoing-
how surprising that was at our last meeting. I'm really,
it's an ongoing-
so
Area.
is there anything around there to combine? Well, I mentioned
That's right,
something.
it's in our
Yeah.
book even. I just-
Do we- okay. Do we want to jump to number 6, or do we want to work in numbered order in order to get some of these things rolling?
What do you mean number six?
Well,
That's making.
We're number 5, because right now we jumped to number 5 and we
Well,
haven't talked about number 1, number 2, number 3, since those are their priorities.
We
And-
kind of
and the-
did though, we said they're easy fixes and we should go ahead. and
My
make
guidance would be
decisions.
move on
Yeah.
signs, move on
Well, that's what-
playground.
that's
move-
what-
I mean,
move on.
pick 2 or
Understand
3
that, right?
to move on.
Are we moving
And
on?
then take a one or, wouldn't take a long time, but take a pause on housing, figure out what that space should look like,
Are we moving,
and then get that going.
are we moving forward on the signs? Because that's our number 1 priority right now. Are we
So I
moving
just
forward?
showed this
three,
one.
four,
Are we okay with like that first one, the middle one with the frame? And I will get the one in Rotary done for the wayfinding. Everybody can look at it and get the thumbs up. I'll have it.
Right.
draw
I
all
don't
planned.
want to muddy this, but I thought we had talked about to match the current city signs with the blue and their thing. Is that
Right, so the way,
for consistency?
right, I did ask.
So
about it.
planning's gonna get involved, you've got every
It's-
entity of the city involved.
So they thought, what I've been told is to match the wayfinding that the city is going to do and what the park is gonna do with their plan. It's the logo and the lettering and the font and the color. Our signs are gonna look a little different because in the parks, their signs are gonna look a little different because they're street signs. and they're- So they're not gonna be exactly the same, but they just wanna continuity
Yeah.
and what they look like. So we have the logo, we're just doing the plain rectangle, we're gonna have it at the top, the snowman font, the snowman. And then the part of that font, the coloring, so we can move forward.
Sounds good. Okay,
It's
I
gonna
think
be-
that should.
Okay. So we're
Especially
moving
before the
forward.
weather
Now
gets
we'll-
bad.
Get all of them started
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Your urban ecology, since that was number 2. What do you want to do with that? What I'm trying to do is, since we've got these prioritized, keep them in
I
priority.
think we should do something tomorrow with the Urban Ecology Center.
So
I could do it tomorrow.
make a
She's gonna
motion.
call them matches.
Write me an email and
She's
some are
calling.
mostly maintenance, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
so
just
wanna
send
lay
me
some
an
new chips
email
down?
and I.
no,
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 not even
no,
chips. Not even
no,
score
fix
chips.
the signs,
Fix the sign.
take out the stinking bench that's gonna get
Okay.
slivers in somebody's butt if they sit on it, and be done with it.
How much do you think that's gonna run?
I have no idea.
Just do it tomorrow.
Ballpark it.
Free.
Like
Pardon?
maintenance.
Remove it, that's,
ballpark it,
yeah, just
I
remove.
don't know what the signs will
make a
cost.
motion.
The
Make, here,
You
signs
know
are
what,
let
it's
what,
not an improvement, it's a maintenance.
Yeah,
just- I
maintenance
don't
It's just
thing.
care
maintenance,
that
we don't have
It's
to
a
make a
maintenance.
motion on
So we
it.
can have the city just.
okay,
it'll-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have
Public
to
Works
take-
will just do it.
Mhm. It's-
And I don't even
and
think it's-
actually, maintenance is a separate fund, so it
Oh.
does not come out of
Yeah.
anything.
So you
that we
wanna
have to
make
post.
it.
So that's great.
Here's my suggestion. Right. Make a motion that Public Works does whatever.
Yeah.
the maintenance
Whatever Jill
fee.
says.
Whatever
Jill-
Jill says.
And get it-
I like that.
And Sue, get it on
Whatever
record,
Jill says.
so we just didn't say, oh yeah, this is what we thought. No, get it on record. What do you want done
Sue,
and by who?
did you want those signs replaced? The informational, those 3 signs, did you want those replaced?
I think the signs that are there should be taken out
Mhm.
until it's decided who wants to put new ones in. Because the way they are now is shameful. It's absolutely shameful. So just take them out and somewhere down the road, if somebody wants to make new ones, put new ones in.
Okay, what's, so
I
you're,
think there's some.
So I
tell them to
move,
bring it
I
on,
move
can't rip them
that,
off.
go ahead, Sue.
I moved that we ask Public Works to take those signs down, take out the benches that are broken. That's it.
Remove the
mattress.
mattress.
Remove the
mattress.
Remove the
Remove the
mattress.
mattress. Second,
I'll second that.
okay, Ingrid second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Woo-hoo!
Aye. All opposed?
And we didn't
Boom.
even spend any money.
I know.
Right, okay. Housing,
Simple better.
we want to keep going?
Do it, let's do it.
Okay, let's keep going.
What do we got?
Housing number 3, what are we gonna do? It's wide open.
I'd like a refresher on what we were putting in on that.
There is a plan. So I think the plan was for pickleball, because that's what would fit. So it fit, it had the clearance, all the 88 paths. There's just a lot of grading to be done and resurfacing. And so that's the plan that we have now. That's what we want to present in July and get public input. I think something that large does need a public hearing.
I think we should do it.
I do
because,
too. I
Yeah,
think we should
we have
move
talked
forward
about
with it.
this as long as I've been on this
Fine.
commission.
Yeah.
And not.
It's not gonna get any cheaper.
Right, no, it's not.
And it's not.
And it doesn't mean it'll get done this year. It's
Right.
just,
No, it'll
Yeah.
Just start that,
Yes.
rolling that down, that,
Yes.
You want the
Yes.
public, you want the public hearing at the,
whatever it has
at
to
the
happen.
July meeting, since we're doing that.
You're gonna
Right.
get a lot of public.
so
Yeah.
how
Why not use it?
does? So do you make the motion in front of council first, or do you have the hearing?
Um,
Which,
I would do the
which
hearing.
is the chicken or the egg? Which one comes first?
You tell us,
Well,
I would do the
To do a
public
hearing, to do a
hearing.
hearing, you have to have
you
a
want to have
plan.
a public hearing?
And we.
I
do
would
have-
think, yeah.
Make a motion.
Did we
Okay.
have one for Silver Lake? Did we have a hearing for the Silver Lake court?
Oh,
No, that was
No, we
maintenance.
didn't.
We just
decided.
did it.
That was
We just
maintenance.
but
did
they
it.
were big enough that they just overdid them on the
Okay.
current tennis court.
And
This-
Mr.
they
I
had
don't
to
know why
actually-
you need a hearing or need a,
Yeah,
to
that's
put
what
in
I'm
a,
saying.
to put in
Oh,
a sidewalk
there you
and
go.
tennis
Yeah.
courts and,
Right, you don't need it.
Well, if you don't want the hearing, then we don't need to do the hearing.
but
Would-
you know more
would-
than I'm just,
But if we don't approve the hearing,
I guess it's-
we don't approve the hearing at this meeting, just procedural. We'd have to wait all the way to June, and then we might not be able to get everything in. If we put the idea of,
I don't think we have to approve a hearing.
I don't know why we need one.
we're just gonna.
I
do
just
the
think
hearing.
the city decides if they want to do it or
They're
not.
saying-
Okay.
They're saying you don't
Okay.
even need a hearing.
Okay, and if we do need a hearing, you don't need this.
Are we concerned about the noise?
No. No.
Because we don't live there.
So were those?
Move the chains, let's go.
Sports or
We're
just-
gonna let
We
the
talked
public
about
decide.
it for 4 years.
We have.
Move the chain,
We
let's
have.
go.
And we have had
I
all,
like it.
Okay,
and pickleball is hugely
The most
popular.
expensive thing is the sidewalk,
Yeah.
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 and we have to do it.
We
The
have. to do
building
it.
doesn't connect to the picnic area, and you can't get from the top of the hill past the playgrounds and down to the
it's
bottom.
gonna change the footprint, so that as of, it was like 30, 40, we got so much money saved. Anyway, it's gonna be 30, 40, 50, 60 million, 70,000 or more. Whatever
Was
it is.
that
Okay,
asphalt or
And,
concrete?
and really,
Yes, it
every-
was.
every improvement we do, it is in the plan that we were going to include ADA. So if we do
Yes.
solar park
Okay.
equipment, we would do ADA.
so we're moving forward with
Polar Park
housing.
already has ADA.
So
We're,
it
we're
would
just
work
talking
out.
about housing now.
Yes, Jill? You good with housing? We're moving forward with housing.
I'm feeling movement, guys.
What did you
What is
define moving forward? for?
Yeah, can we define moving forward?
Okay, so I have a plan.
Okay.
So the plan is okay, ADA, it's pretty much what WSD gave us before. It's gonna have a pickleball court, the ADA that goes from the pickleball to the playground, all the way to the pavilion. I will send that out for quotes. I gotta find some vendors that will do that.
Okay,
So how do we do this? You send it out for quotes and then it goes to the council?
Then I will have, yes, then I will have the plan, I will have the numbers. we Put it in there, say it's part of this, so technically they have already approved it, now they are just giving our consent to move forward.
Okay,
And really, housing was close, I think we've had 3 quotes for the quotes. And
That was-
if I remember public works, they may actually do.
A lot of it.
that's a good idea. too.
And there was a couple of benches that were proposed to be up in the pickleball area. There was, I think, a bench proposed to be in the playground area for all the, along the ADA trail. So there was some costs, there were some of those costs too.
And then the ball field would just be left as it
Let's
is.
just
Right
leave it for
now,
now.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's tackle the big, because really, what we're talking about, when you said, let's repurpose that space, really just be taking the backstop out. Right? I
Down
mean,
the road.
So that's.
Yeah, so let's not worry about it now.
Because people can play there with the
So
backstop.
we should talk to North Public Athletic Association, if they use, at least for this short term
Find out
season,
if
baseball.
They're using.
Tim,
Top
Do we
soil
need-
grassy
do we need to approve amounts? At each,
for,
We don't know.
so
We don't
what, for
to send to
housing?
the city, okay, so
So
what,
for,
right,
hou- so for housing, we've got to get,
and then it's coming back and we'll approve the amount,
Yeah.
correct?
yes.
Okay, everybody good on housing for now?
Yes.
Fuller improvement. That would be this, the new playgrounds.
Playground. I
Do we
mean,
need a bid for?
Well, it's not the whole playground,
No,
it's
it's
just
Oh, no,
one,
it's
it's
swing-
one structure in the playground.
Playground area.
It's the playground equipment,
But the
And
swings were just replaced.
the seats, right?
just the swing, this
No, the
little,
whole swing set, I
It's a
thought was
new
replaced.
versus the big A-frame
Oh,
one, it's
okay.
more of a,
Oh, gosh, I thought it was
like a
just the
U
seats.
shape.
it was just, yeah, it was just a little kid swing, right?
And the trail's been put in, the
Yep.
trail's down here already, but that's been done.
Starts at which road, what's that road? I can never,
The Delaware?
the one on the north side of the park.
Oh, on the north.
Anyway,
I don't know.
so we need a bid, right?
Sean,
Do we want to move forward with getting a playground bid?
Well, I
Well,
think we
swings
need to
are
know what
separate.
we want to put in there.
Okay,
like,
then let's talk about what we want to put in there.
What age group are we targeting first of all? Because that makes a difference.
As I recall, there were.
What is there now if you're replacing that?
It's,
It's
looks
a
like.
climbing
There's a
gym.
picture.
thing,
What
It's
page
got a
is that?
slide and
What
a
page is that? Art?
Yeah.
31.
31.
It says, a concrete walk from Shawnee Drive along the north entrance point of the park to the playground was recently completed, along with a concrete playground border for the park concept plan.
Oh,
below. So, if we already have the border, we want to keep it in that area.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, and then on 32, play equipment replacement, which is really what Sarah was talking
Yeah.
about. And that's the 75 grand.
Mhm.
You want me to look for something that's in that price range? Maybe I just do to fit this space, this price range, or this age?
Well, and we could, something similar.
It's an awful lot of money for that park.
to What's there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
How much
These days.
I guess I would go out and see I'm of the impression, concrete walk, bench, swings, and bench, we have bench every twice, have all been replaced within the last 2 years. So it's just the playground, which
The
must be this
equipment
blue, which
itself.
must be this blue structure.
Yeah.
Who has Polar Park? Do we know?
Has
Who's
that
name?
as their name.
I have housing at the college.
I think technically, I holding.
I can,
Is it?
I can run over there before the next meeting
It
and
looks-
take a look.
Yeah.
At what do we got, and then come back at the, where we had June meeting and tell you what we got there and take pictures.
Can you measure that area that the curbing is
Yeah,
enclosed
yep.
in, just so we have an idea
I'll
of the size?
research some, playground companies.
Okay,
They'll do like a quick layout, maybe, so I'll maybe find out what's there, what size, and get kind of an idea.
oh, you're gonna take,
I'll go
Yeah,
there.
So like back in the day, Keith used to have magazines.
so you don't need me to.
Yeah,
go-
we did.
To flip through and we
You
just
can
kind
still
of,
get those.
we don't
I
need
don't need
to
to
look.
go over
I
there
don't
then?
think that exists anymore.
You don't need me to go over there.
Yeah, you want it, I think we'll do.
Okay, let's set something up and we'll go over there and take a look at it. You good guys good with that with Polar for now?
Yeah.
Yes. Then I'll have something.
Okay, let's go.
We're getting way too much done.
This is
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so.
Can I just show you a park structure that I'm really impressed with and I just want people to have it on their radar?
Yep.
Okay. I took pictures of this a long time ago. This is over in Maplewood. It is a very cool metal
Very
structure that
cool.
is a climbing thing where you can go kind of all around on it. So it could appeal to several ages at the same time.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah,
looks
it's
cool.
very cool. And
We're in Maplewood, is it?
it's behind, okay, so if you're on County Road D, you've just driven past Best Buy and you're on your way to 61.
Okay.
There are some cute condo type areas and apartments or whatever to the left or to the south. And it's behind those. It's part of the big, yeah, did you see both pictures?
Like a climbing.
No.
It's like a climbing wall, but it's this metallic structure.
Sure.
It looks really cool. I have yet to see a lot of people on it. I mean, my daughter lives kind of over in this neighborhood that walks dogs over there. But every time I see it, I think, this is like Casey Park, where, you know, suddenly we had this cool thing that people came from a long ways away to see. This is the kind of thing that I would, if I were a parent of young kids, I would drive out of my way to go visit this, you know, the curly climbing wall or whatever the kids would call it, you know what I mean? It's just unique.
And you said it was over on County Road Diaz and Dog?
Yeah, south of that.
Well, a lot of the,
Very
you know,
easy
just
tool.
retirement people, when the grandkids come over,
It doesn't look expensive.
they're able to.
It doesn't, or,
there.
oh, you really? I think it would be expensive, but
So,
I don't know, maybe not.
you know,
Everything is expensive.
Jill, I'll show you too.
Oh,
I just wanted to take this
Yeah.
opportunity, because I kept wanting to, it's very cool, and I think it would appeal to many ages.
thanks, Chris.
I'm not saying let's vote on it right now, but I'm just saying. let's-
Well, we'd have to figure out where to put it, yeah.
Right. So-
Downtown Park, what do we decide on?
I'll tell you.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
excuse me, Downtown Park, what, we kind of took care of that for now? Or, because that's our next, that's number 5.
I would say you, my opinion, you have one person lead a subcommittee.
Yeah.
Who could that be?
And if you're not here, you don't get to vote.
Yeah,
And a group of you not equaling a quorum, kind of put some thought behind it as to what, and then bring back the thoughts. Just to hone it down, just, it's,
Yeah, is it a green space? Is it a playground equipment? Is it, yeah, yep.
I mean, it's your guys' decision. I just am trying to give
Good
some
idea.
guidance as to know
thank you, Tim.
the quickest and easiest way to get something approved.
What would the next step be to discovering the space you were talking about, where the former theater was? Suddenly that's, because it's not city land, but you kind of opened my mind to the idea that that could become.
I'd figure out what you want first and worry about where you're gonna put it second.
That's your
Really?
Because
second.
you don't know how
Really?
much, you don't know how much space you're gonna need.
Well, or do you?
Your
Find
place
your
is green
space,
space
yeah.
with a couple swings and a bench.
Actually, that spot would be the best place because it's a little bigger.
It's a big space.
What space, Ingrid?
Where the
Can you-
Masonic Temple was.
Oh, okay. You said
Kitty corner
theater.
to
Can you talk,
Is it building?
who wants to be on the, I like that, Tim, for the idea, then we can move it forward. Who wants to be on that subcommittee, and keep in mind, we can only have 4, and I imagine Sarah's gonna be number 1. Which,
she'll run it.
can you email Sarah just out of courtesy and let her, ask her if she wanted to lead the subcommittee? But that being said,
I'll be on.
okay, there's already 2, 3, anybody else? Otherwise 4. You want to be it?
No, you do.
I'll do it. 4, that's 4, that's all we can have. How am I doing?
Doing good.
All right,
I'm just trying to keep the ball moving.
you just keep the ball rolling. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. McKnight Fields. Okay, how long do we want to go tonight?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
That's probably good, yeah.
Okay, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, McKnight,
Jill's starting to swim.
We just did like 5 months worth of work.
McKnight Fields.
Yeah.
Is that something we're gonna get done in 3 minutes? Or
No,
you-
we're not.
Okay, then,
I think Jill is going.
yep. Casey Lake.
I think Jill, you're done.
Cap it out.
Thanks for
See,
doing
we
this,
just
so-
stuck a lot of work on it.
Jill, here's a suggestion. That we put this on the agenda for next month and just talk about McKnight, Casey Lake, Northwood, and
That's an awful lot on the agenda right there.
that's pretty good. Look how we're doing. How's that sound?
I would also keep a dog park top of mind,
The dog park, what?
a dog park at the top of mind.
Okay, because we've got,
Thinking of new residents and apartments and.
Everybody.
The city owns land across the street from the new M&I spots. There's 4 lots that the city currently owns
Where?
that are wooded.
Yeah.
That is a steep enough grade that the developer It would
What were
cost
they
too, it would cost too
originally gonna-
much,
Did you say that?
it would
yeah.
cost too much money to put a retaining wall
Is
in.
that us second? Third.
Right on
Third.
third, right on 7. They were gonna, they were gonna put 3 homes in there, and then they decided not to, backs up to the homes that are on Oak Hill.
So again, it's
Can we-
not downtown.
I don't know where this is.
It's for a park,
Um,
but it's, I'm just looking at the inventory of land the city owns too.
The city owns
Yeah, yeah.
that.
So what are we,
It's just-
where are we at with this, which part now?
No, I don't,
That's
just to
what I
create a
said.
dog park. You have a mayor
Okay,
that's
Where is it
very
again?
dog park
Where
pro.
is it again?
Third, if
Third.
you're going west on 7,
3rd and 7th.
take a right on 3rd, right where M and I.
We got 2 minutes.
And it's right there on the east side. It's just.
I'll
a
be the
long
bearer of
road
bad
to
moods. We have 2
Right
minutes.
across
2
the
minutes.
street from the.
We can talk about that. Okay,
Yep.
I'll be the bad guy. Okay,
You mean?
that's okay. I don't mind.
You gotta see the list of things. I get stuff.
October event, can we table that till,
Let them know if they say.
okay,
Anyway.
electronic board guidelines, can we table that?
Yeah, because I think Laura was.
Okay.
and so-
I have a question
But they're okay if that, I mean, we went through. the
On which
guidelines.
is,
about Silver Lake. I just have a couple
okay,
issues.
let me
that I need
get
to talk
to,
about.
let me
Okay.
get to right there.
Sounds good.
Okay, ball field update, can we table it?
Yeah, super busy, but.
Okay. Sign update, we pretty much took care of that.
Yeah, we saw the second. one.
Park review, rental, we can table that, we'll never get that done tonight. All right, Ingrid, go ahead.
A couple things about Silver Lake. We had a cleanup a few weeks back and I made some piles of sticks. We rake up piles of sticks and then we kind of put them
Mhm.
in piles and then City Works usually comes around and picks them up. And I noticed there were piles still sitting around, so. do
Are
you
they
want-
still there?
And tonight I didn't check, but
Okay.
just a couple days ago I saw them. So
Alright.
do you want me to call Public Works tomorrow or do you want one
I
of them
just
to
put it
do?
in order, so.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just send me an email, then you have one there, then I just send it to her.
Okay, I have a question about the bathrooms. There's a porta potty now by the pickleball courts and the tennis court. Is that because the bathrooms, what's this, do we know the status on the bathroom building? Because when I was there for cleanup, and people were kind of complaining that they're locked a lot. So do we know,
They're automatic, so when the water could finally be turned on, they just auto unlock. So we can put them in.
so they're not damaged, they should be working. So I could go try them at various points. and-
But I think they automatically lock.
Yeah,
again at
that's
9 PM, but open it. I
Okay.
don't know when they. open.
I was under the impression that they were on an automatic thing,
They
but
are.
But I was curious because why the porta potty down by,
I
50
think
yards
it's just
away?
because they're really far away. I think,
Okay. No, it's not too far away. The building is not that far from where the new porta potty went in, right by the tennis court. So I was, that made me think, are these damaged or
I'm just
something?
kind of wondering if they put it there.
Yeah.
Because so many
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
They're all old.
I'll do some checking. I'll do some checking on whether it's open, when it's supposed to be open. So I'll do some checking on that.
Anything else, Ingrid?
One other thing. Yeah, that can wait. The third thing had to do with some growth of some.
Nance, go ahead.
I have a resident that called me that was on Casey Park down by the upper ball field. And when we get a heavy rain, the wood chips that are underneath the merry-go-round all get washed away and they're, I don't know, I didn't go look at it, so I'm not real sure. I mean, it's a public works issue.
Just have them clean it. I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Just right below the parking lot, right
Yeah,
on
yes,
that
by the
walkway.
parking lot,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just.
I guess I didn't even know there were wood chips there.
Had some heavy rain.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said I would.
Kind of unusual.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, that rain 2 weeks ago.
Anything else, Nance? Anybody else have
Yeah.
anything to report that want to talk about before we adjourn? I'm having a busy spell again. Oh, yeah, we gotta have the liaison, park liaison. Go ahead, you got like -3 minutes.
Where's the June meeting?
What's what?
Where's the June meeting?
Is that?
Southwood.
It's Southwood.
Southwood?
Okay, and
Where?
I'll have it in there. It is on hallway where there's a lookout and there's a picnic table. but
No,
no
Double
chair.
platform, yeah.
Okay.
July is Housey, August is the 7th Avenue Walk.
Mhm, and September is Casey. Oh.
Oh,
Because it's indoors.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the only way we can do it. in Casey's
okay,
indoors.
perfect, thank you.
Anybody else?
That's all I had, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Sue motions to adjourn second.
I will second.
Nancy
Unless you
seconds. Nancy seconds. All in favor, say aye. All opposed. Well done, everybody.
90 minutes.
That's good.
Wow.
Very nice.
We really.
I have a picture.
Yes.